Hey everybody, I'm Ben Dorr. I'm the executive director for Minnesota Gun Rights, and I want to say a few things about the recent shooting that took place in Minneapolis. And I'm going to break this down further in a future video, but for right now, I want to discuss a solution. The left, they immediately start screaming for gun control. Well, the first thing they look at is who did the shooting. And we all know the truth. If it's a straight, white, Christian male, so to speak, then it's immediately a hate crime. It is immediately a targeted attack on a protected minority class in America, and then it's all about that issue. The moment the perpetrator doesn't fit that bill, then they immediately pivot to gun control, gun control, gun control. We need AR-15 bans. We need them nationwide. We need all these different strict pieces of legislation. We need bills now. We have to do something now. They do this because they don't mind trampling on the blood of the innocent dead. They do this because what the left craves most is political power, and they will use any tragedy at all to accomplish that objective. There used to be a time when we let people grieve. We grieved with them. Now it's who can get to the microphone first to make their point. So you have Amy Klobuchar, you have Tim Walz, you have all of these people clamoring for more clampdowns. And that's not going to solve anything at all. It won't solve anything at all. Now I could talk about, different pieces of legislation like stand your ground law, which I think would make it easier to protect against violent criminals like the trans man who killed those kids in Minneapolis. But I'm going to save that. And I want to talk instead about the actual solution here. The real problem we have is that we live in a society now, we live in a culture now that has no sense of self. There's no common something that knits us all together. As a Christian, I would say that the problem we have is that we live in a society now without Christ. And I'm not just talking about having a relationship with Jesus. I'm talking about how a Christian society looks like friends getting together. It looks like families going to church together. It's about looking out your window and watching the neighbor kids ride by on their bicycles. And they're not your kids, but you're looking out there just to make sure they're safe all the same. I grew up in a tiny little town in northwest Iowa, 500 people. Everybody knew the Dorr kids. And it seemed like every day my mom would get a phone call from a neighbor. Hey, just want to let you know that your kids are climbing the trees in my backyard. The neighbors looked out for one another. Friends looked out for one another. There was a shared community. There was shared faith, shared culture, shared heritage, and it brought people together. But what we have now and what the left is constantly pushing is this sense of nothing binds us together. When you tell a young child that your ancestors are all evil, it unmoors them. When you tell a young child that you come from apes, you come from a rock, we all climbed out of the ocean as slime and goo, it unmoors them. It gives them nothing to hold on to. When you tell them that there is no such thing as morality, there's no standard for right and wrong. Live your authentic self. It tears apart anything that grounds them. When you tell him, if he's a boy, that men are bad, they're oppressors, they're evil, it destroys their sense of self. It destroys their ability to connect with one another. And so what you have is isolation on a mass scale. millions and millions of young men and women who feel no connection to the past and no hope for the future. You have families with no fathers, no husbands. You have children leaderless, being led astray by false ideologies, by internet cliques in forbidden chat rooms that none of us can even access. This is how you create the trans kid who shot up that school. And if we want to get our state back, if we want to get our country back, we don't need a ban on AR-15s. We need Christ to return to our culture again. And again, you might be a Christian, you might not be a Christian. All I'm talking about is the culture where men don't go into the little girls' bathrooms, where neighbors look out for neighbors and love one another, where people police themselves instead of needing the police to police them. I'm talking about a culture where somebody doesn't end up 23 years old, isolated in their room, friendless, listless, hopeless, depressed, demonically possessed. That's all I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. We need to get back to that, to where husbands lead their homes, love their wives, train their children, where moms can raise kids and spend time with them, where families aren't fractured, blown apart, where you have nothing in common with your neighbor. Nobody goes to church. There's no sense of right and wrong. Your ancestors were all evil. We have to do away with that and bring back a culture and a society that is grounded again in right thinking and right living. That's the solution here. It's not a legislative solution. Again, like I said, I could argue for some pro-gun laws that I think would be helpful. But I'm talking about how do we stop making, as a culture, the people who go to schools and shoot kids? Because people who do that are evil. They are evil, but they're coming from our society. And again, it's, in my view, because we have no connection with each other, no grounding, a person should be able to look at their grandfather and their great-grandfather and their great-great-grandfather and see themselves, right? You should be able to see yourself in those who came before, and you should love them and you should respect them as far back as you can find them. And then you should look to the future, hope for the future. I have 4 little boys, and they give me great hope for the future. I see myself in them. And it anchors me in. I believe everybody should have that. There should be love. There should be good training. There should be a good worldview. There should be a connection with your ancestors, a connection to the future. And in doing so, we can undo the isolation that is just plaguing our country. It's plaguing our country. And I'll be completely honest with you, it's the left that's pushing this. This is why conservatives, what does it mean to be a conservative? Well, it means a lot of things, but we are conserving past traditions, heritage, The things that link us all together, links my people to me, links your people to you. We're conserving the past and bringing it into the future. But if you say that all of that is wrong, all of that is evil, and you do nothing, you leave kids to be isolated, locked out, left alone, what you get is this. So my encouragement for everyone, I know it's a little bit off the cuff. I apologize. I hope this makes sense. If you want more of this kind of content, let me know in the comments below. But my encouragement for everyone is what do the kids say now? Go out and touch grass. Right? Go out and try to build connection with people. I'm almost 35 years old. God knows the hardest thing to do when you're in your mid-30s, and I hear it's worse in your 40s, and I don't know, maybe a little easier in your 20s, is find friends. If you don't have friends, I hope you find some. I found some great friends, men who I can call on in a moment's notice, who will be there for me. They'll be there for my wife and kids. And I've spent decades looking for them, and I found some, and they anchor me in. And I would do the same for them. I do the same for their wife and kids, right? Try to build that connection. Look into your past. Love your grandfathers. Love your great-grandfathers. Love your people. Love your ancestors and where they came from. And realize, it's like that meme you see online sometimes, that you are the product of 1,000 loves. And you're meant to be here. And last, I would say that if you are not a follower of Christ, look for him too. Because it's the only thing that gives life meaning, that makes it all make sense. And when you put that on culture, when you put that on society, you realize what a blessing it is. And you realize that if you're my age or older, we have been living in, or we were born into a culture that was running on those Christian fumes. And we have got to bring it back. If we can bring that back, we can save our country. And we can stop heinous acts like we witnessed in Minneapolis from taking place. That's all I have, guys. If you agree, please give this video a thumbs up. Share it with anybody you know, especially if they live in Minnesota. I'm afraid that we have a fight on our hands now because the left is going to use this to capitalize as much as possible in their vicious grab for power. So we're going to have to fight back. But our prayers are very much with the families of those kids who were hurt and who were taken in this shooting. We pray for God's peace. Share this video, you guys. I love you. I love these families. I love our state. I love our country. I love the West, and it's what we're fighting for. So I hope you got some encouragement from this. If not, I'm sorry. Let me know in the comment section how we can do better. All right, take care. Bye-bye.